Hello and welcome to episode 85 of Friends of the Show. I am Stephen W. Skinner, and this is my podcast where I speak with some of the rockingest people from the online web. This week's friend is Singer Songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and producer from South Wales. Formerly the singer-guitarist in the political alternative rock band KYSHERA, turned best-selling author. I'm talking about James Kennedy. Oh, it was so fun talking to James about his story coming from a rock band, pivoting to author, talking about that and cheese rolling. So in summary, I hope you'll have a pleasant time listening to Friends of the Show, episode 85, with James Kennedy. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, there we go. Sorry to catch you off guard there, dude.
Oh, no, it's all good. Actually, yeah, I think you're the first person who's ever called early, but, you know, I love the gumption. Like it.
Well, I'm really hungover today, man. So I've been lying on the couch and I was like, do you know what? Let's just fucking do it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that attitude. Yeah, get her going.
Yep.
Sorry to hear about the hangover. What is your go-to move? What's your cure? What's your placebo effect? I don't know what do you do to cure what ails you?
I'm not a lot really, man. I'm pretty useless. I know there's things you can do, but I just throw myself into it. I'm like, okay, coffee, food, junk food, telly, relax. That's just it. I
Those
don't
are
do
the
anything
basics. I
to
think
help.
those are the main. You hit a few key factors. I think you gotta get something in your stomach. You gotta eat something to soak up whatever's left. I think coffee is good if you are trying to stay awake for the day, but you don't want to be doing too much. Stay on the couch, stay in bed. I think that's
Yeah.
the perfect three recipe for a classic Sunday hangover.
I think if there's any one thing that I always go to, it's normally like a bit of a marathon Anthony Bourdain session from the couch.
Okay, yeah. So you've got your media cued in. You don't have to think too much,
Yeah.
but some food that your brain can think about eating.
Yes, yeah. Carby goodness, man. But I don't have hangovers that often because I actually was teetotal for 3 years until October this year. I hadn't had a drop for 3 years, and now I'm back. I'm going full throttle.
Now you're back. So what happened in October? Was it just like I'm gonna be have a drink at this birthday party, and then it was like, well, yeah, why not? Why was I doing that?
Pretty much that, man. I went on a holiday, like the first time
Holiday,
since the lockdown,
right?
because we haven't been able to go anywhere for like the past 2 years or anything. So,
Elephant in the room, global coronavirus pandemic, currently in year two, if you're listening in the far future. And we're just heading into Omicron time. So we've got a new, most highly contagious variant called Omicron.
it sounds like something from a fucking Transformers movie, man. I don't know where they're getting these names from.
I believe they are from Greek letters. You know how like they were before they were like, oh, it's the India variant, it's the South Africa variant. That was causing some issues with international, you're like, oh, you're from South Africa. Maybe you have the South Africa variant.
Yeah,
Or as
yeah, yeah.
opposed to they're like, oh no, well look, now we'll call them the Delta variant. We'll use these the epsilon, these Greek symbols. It makes it less confrontational because who is Omicron? Clearly a villain from space. Like, yeah, the
Oh, dude, if
Transformers
it's not,
banished them to deep space, but now they're back a
if it's
millennia
not,
later.
then it should be. Like somebody's missed a trick there, because that's a cool name, man.
It is pretty cool. I think if there is anything to fear, I'm glad that we fear Omicron because it's kind of fun to say. Be like, everyone must
Yeah.
fear Omicron. Like, yeah, of course we fear Omicron. Like, yeah, just say it. Think about to say it. It makes total sense that we fear Omicron. But I'm glad that you've so far made it through okay. Hopefully, you and all your loved ones made it through unscathed.
Yeah.
The vaccines have reached you and all your friends and family, and hopefully that's good. You managed to go on holiday. What was that experience like? Where'd you go? Where'd you stay? How was it?
I went to a little island in Greece, a Greek island called Paros. Never been there before. No, it was early first week of October, I think it was. So the weather was still good, but the tourists were all gone, so it was dead quiet.
Oh,
It
good
was awesome,
timing.
man. Really needed it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a musician, so I mean, for like 18 months, I didn't do anything anyway. I was just kind of sitting around the house. So,
Hmm.
so I would say I needed a holiday. I didn't really need one, but it was just nice to be able to get away to somewhere sunny and just sit on the beach and rather than sitting in my house, you know.
For
So
sure.
yeah, it
And
was
there's
awesome.
something like it's like we're all like mentally exhausted from having to change our lives so much or whatever like the future societal impacts of our mental states are going to be like society. People who are studying it in the far future are going to be like, yeah, these people got messed up from this.
Oh
But
yeah,
just
yeah,
like the ability to maybe go away and like sort of turn off your brain, leave the space that you've been cooped up in for so long, get out of that space, get into another space, maybe trick your mind to thinking that it's a different time. And I get the idea behind doing that and why it's so needed. But now it's
oh,
like right when everyone is geared up to maybe to do that, they're booking vacations, everyone's booking
yep.
their stuff, and now it's like maybe we're heading back into lockdown
Oh,
times,
fun.
which is tough. It's tough for everyone on the planet who's been affected by this the whole time. Different various levels of it, but yeah, a vacation would be nice. So did you see Salt Bay? I guess he's in Mykonos or whatever, right? Do you know the guy who
Oh yeah, I know
drizzles the
that dude.
salt? Do
Yeah, it
they
wasn't
talk
far.
about
I
that
don't think it was
guy?
far away. Yeah, I don't think I was far away from that dude. Actually, he's Turkish, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made it. Yeah, he went viral and he really capitalized on that. I know some
All I know
friends who
about
went
that guy
to
is like,
a restaurant where, yeah, he like works at a restaurant. He's like a famous guy who works at a restaurant, and yeah, you go and he does his thing, and you can put it on your Instagram.
and he charges like 10 grand for a steak or something stupid. Is that right?
Yeah, but price to pay for fame for your 15 minutes, right? That's what you get for your 15 minutes now.
If you're stupid enough to pay 10 grand for a steak, you deserve it.
Well, as long as you don't cook it, well done. All right, well, I guess we should say this is James Kennedy, with this week's guest of Friends of the Show. What a chill intro that we do now. So this is the beginning of the podcast where we get into the WTF meat and bones of it. The who are you, where are you from, who are your guys. We get into the tale of your life. So who are you, where are you from, who are your guys?
I'm James Kennedy. I'm from South Wales in the UK. I'm a musician, independent label owner, and recently an author, I suppose I could say.
Ooh, Renaissance man. Very cool. Congratulations on all their success.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, so let's get into it. Musician, how did you start? When did you pick up the guitar? Did you like the Beatles?
Yeah, man. Well, I started when I was 9. For my ninth birthday, my father stole a little Spanish acoustic guitar as a present because, I was from a low income background and 3 kids and stuff. And it was like, oh, Jesus, another kid's birthday. What am I going to get him? No money. So he had an opportunity. I think he was left alone in a music shop for 5 minutes or something. And this guitar was there. So he just Robin Hooded the guitar and gave me that for my birthday, for my ninth birthday. I didn't want a guitar. I probably wanted, whatever the, overpriced, most fashionable toy was at that time. But I got a guitar instead. And my dad knew how to play like one little blues riff on the guitar, but you could do with 2 fingers. So he showed me how to play the riff, and I picked it up straight away, and I was just hooked. That's all I'd ever wanted from that point on was a guitar. So I just
Yeah.
became obsessed. And
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's a great story. Yeah, that makes a great opening story in a book for sure.
yeah. So I mean,
You
that
got to
was
go
it. Really.
find whose shop that was and, bring it back or something. Or pay
Well, I'm
him
glad they didn't
for the
think from.
guitar years later.
If I'm glad it was a shop and not a person. If you stole it from some other poor 9-year-old kid, that
Oh
would be
yeah, no, for
pretty
sure.
good. No.
Yeah, but that's a great story, and it worked out. So continued being a musician, didn't give up. So what was your first band or whatever? How'd you first start performing?
Well, I started first band I was in school. We had a band called Section 8. And we played just like Green Day and Nirvana covers exclusively, and that was it.
Nice.
And we weren't very good, but
Well, power
that
chords.
was the first taste of performing, and it was
Yeah.
awesome. Like performing in the school gym and
Sure.
the gym hall, proper like, like a 90s music video type of thing, where you get the school band. It was that basically.
Yeah. Battle of the bands. A lot of
Yeah,
battles
yeah,
of the
yeah.
bands.
Yeah, that was yeah. Someone's actually like uploaded to YouTube like four of the gigs that we did, and I
Oh,
watched.
that's awesome. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
nowadays like your high school band is more you're more likely to have a lot of video of your performances, which is exciting for future grown-up people where you'll be like, "Oh, this was their first band that you can see where they played in this basement."
Yeah.
And
Oh
now
yeah, everything is cataloged now, man. I mean, I was amazed, that footage existed. I was like, shit, I didn't even know that existed. So, but now, yeah, it's like kids these days,
they
for
don't
want of a
even
better.
know what they're putting online. They're putting everything out there.
Oh God, yeah. Well, yeah, everything is online now, but like, which is kind of awesome in some ways, but at the same time, it was kind of like a simpler time back in the '90s. When was it in the '90s? Yeah, I suppose it was. Yeah, when I was in my school band, and so like, yeah, like it was a simpler time then.
Definitely a simpler time. We didn't even have a smartphone. We didn't have we had a device, but it was like my device was a cassette player, like a portable cassette player. It took like 4D batteries.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could play a cassette. So I had my cassette that I would bring around. I was pretty big into crisscross. I remember when I first got the cassette player and would like bring this big cassette player around, and at recess, like, here we go, gather around cassette player, we're gonna go drop some jams. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we were dealing with back then. Not like you can access any song ever written
Oh
plus
yeah, yeah, yeah,
any amount of media or
yeah.
whatever's unlocked or available to you with your level
I
of
can't
access.
remember. Like when you had a Walkman, we called them like a little Sony Walkman to fit in your pocket or something like that. I
Yes.
can't remember. Did you have to decide before you left the house in the morning what tape you were going to listen to that day, or did we carry around bags of tapes? I can't remember.
I was a two tape guy, so I would usually have like a backpack, right? So I'd have enough space so I could carry a couple tapes, but I would have like one that's in there and then one case with another tape in it, so then
Oh,
you could swap
yeah,
it out, but only one case. Like, you don't have to carry
that makes
one extra
sense.
case,
That's
right?
probably
So
what I did. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So I'd usually have two on the go. Hootie and the Blowfish, Cracked Your View was my first one where I like wore it out. Like, that album it's just funny to think of like the albums that you buy as a kid or like you get. Like, think it's good to get this. Or I had like the Batman Forever soundtrack. It was like,
Sweet.
obviously, yeah, you get it. It's classic. Hootie and the Blowfish, Crisscross, obviously. And yeah, you put your tape in, and the thing is, you couldn't just you if you wanted to listen to the hit single again, you'd have to rewind. You'd have to get good at knowing how far to rewind, or if your tape machine had the little timer, you could use that. And be like, just rewind it to 0, and that's the start of Jump.
I got all this stuff, man. Yeah, good memories. I had a player, a little cassette player that had a speaker on it as well. So I remember being on the school bus, and I'd be the guy with like the Sepultura or the Pantera record blasting on this little tinny speaker thing, and I was like, yeah, in my mind, I was the cool guy because I had the heavy metal record, so I was probably pissing everybody on the bus off.
Yeah, no, definitely king of the bus because you had music, or if you had something else. I remember I had like little LCD based games where it was a very simple game, something like you drive a car and little obstacles show up on the thing. But I'm like, all right, who wants to borrow this for this bus ride? You're like, yeah. How about that?
Oh,
Yeah,
good times, man. Good times.
currying favor with different grades with my devices that I had. So definitely was always a fan of devices, but definitely jealous of kids today who have the world at their fingertips. And yeah, because I'd be like, my dream was just to like have a little TV that I could watch on the bus because I had a long bus ride. So when like the little TVs, like portable TVs first, they were not little, right? Like, you're thinking about like the size of like a boombox kind of thing, but
Yeah.
you could have one and it would pick up a couple over the air radio station or TV stations. And when I found out those existed, I put those on my Christmas list. I was like 10 years old. It's like $300 or whatever for this little portable TV that I would never get. But that was my dream. And, I'm happy for the kids now who have that, who are living my dream.
Oh, dude, I mean, like, I wish, like, when I was learning to play guitar, like I wish I had YouTube and stuff like
Oh
that. Like
yeah.
I did a spell as a guitar teacher in a school as one of my day jobs, a few years back. And the stuff that the kids are going to school now, they get like an actual professional, musician who's in a touring band, or like myself, to go in and show them how to play, heavy metal records and play the guitar.
Awesome. And then when they
When
go
I,
home, they can look up the tab very easily.
yeah,
They don't have to
go
like,
on YouTube and have somebody walk you through it and stuff like that. Any song you want, and all the tabs are there. Like when I was in school, what I had to do was I had to because I'm self-taught. The music in school sucked. It was like learning a keyboard, or classical music or something.
yeah.
And then so I would go to the the news agent after school whilst I was waiting for the bus, and I would have to try and like look at all the guitar magazines that I couldn't afford, and just kind of like mentally scan all of the music in there and try and remember it all the best as I could.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It was like you could either, like have your mom drive you to the music store and pay $30 for the book with the sheet music, or now you can just look it up on a website or on your phone
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's so
just
cool.
have it. And if you have trouble with it, there's 300 videos of people who are showing you how to play and different
Yeah.
versions.
Dude, if I had that, man, I would have been unstoppable. Seriously.
Unstoppable. So kids these days, we're looking at you. Music better be good
Actually,
in the
please
future.
don't slip on.
We better get another Beatles.
Oh, yeah. To answer your question about the Beatles, yes, of course, I love the Beatles as well.
Yes, so Beatles big in the news currently because Peter Jackson's Get Back has been recently introduced into the world, and so light again shining on this band. So yeah, they're good. I was a fan. I went through a big Beatles phase. I believe it was around the time when Live at the BBC was reissued or something, and it was a double box set, and I got it on CD. Was very stoked. Listened to it. It was like a live radio show that they did, I guess. And it was a 2 CD thing. And then after that, like they had the Beatles 1 big reissue. That was sort of my
Yeah.
main Beatles phase where I was like deep into them. But I was more into
Yep.
like the early Beatles, which is weird because then I later learned, like after I grew up, that the later Beatles are kind of better. So I
Yeah.
was like, it took me a while to figure that out. Just like when you're a kid, you don't know.
Everyone always asks, who's your favorite Beatle? Did you have a favorite?
Yeah, it was Paul, but now
Yeah.
I don't know if it's George or not. I think it might be George.
I would go Paul. I think as a musician, I mean, like John was the coolest and the most rock and roll, but I think Paul was definitely, the musician in the band. He played loads of different instruments, brilliant songwriter, great singer.
Yeah, for me it was always Paul, but like I always just naturally gravitated to Paul, and I thought that I would I wouldn't really get along with John for whatever reason, like we'd be not friends or something. But for Paul, I felt like we could be friends. And then later on, I was like, oh no, George is secretly like the coolest and nicest one that
Right.
maybe I would really want to be really friends with. So that's how I judge it. Like, who would I really want to be like good friends with? And yeah, Paul for sure, and then George right up there also. Um, Ringo, shout out. I only recently came around to realizing how much he adds with his understated and different his drum parts or whatever. Like
Yeah, I agree with you
really
there,
cool.
man.
Like I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of TikToks recently about a guy's like, here's how you could play drums on this, and it's like, and then like, here's how Ringo did it.
Right.
And you're like, okay, yep, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very creative parts, man. I got to be honest. Yeah, very, very underrated drummer. I don't think he was technically the best, but he
No,
was
I think that's
creative.
probably where people get confused. Like he's not technically the best, and he's not really in your face, and he's not flashy. He's kind of goofy, but
Yeah.
underneath it all, that's like that's what ties a lot of the songs together, and like
Oh, yeah.
the drums, the backbone of all the songs. So it's
Yeah.
like you got to have all the parts moving in tandem to get how it goes.
Yeah. Very
You know how
creative
it is.
drummer.
You're a professional musician in a band. You're a guy in a band.
You're quite. You seem to know quite a lot about this stuff as well, man.
I enjoy music. I've been into bands. Been to a lot of shows. Like, been going to shows since I was very young and consistently, for a long, long time. Basically, up until the global pandemic. It was the first like year where I didn't go to any shows, and I haven't been to any shows since I guess like March 2020. But yeah, like I've a friend who's in a really good fun band who's been on the show, friend of the show, Greg Alsop from Tokyo Police Club. Shout out. So like they just did a little tour, but we didn't go because yeah, we're still not going to shows yet. But it's weird for me to not have gone to shows after being so, live music
Yeah.
is just like it's the thing. You go to see a live show and that you'll end up liking that band. If they put on a good show, you'll like that band forever basically. Like that was what I found has been different. Like I went to see Christina Aguilera and Destiny's Child one time, just like randomly. We like randomly were at a place where this concert was going on, and like a scalper's like, "Hey, $5, you want to go?" We're like, "Oh yeah, sure." And we went, and it was like, "All right, it's fine." Christina Aguilera, whatever. But Destiny's Child were like, "Wow, that's actually pretty cool." So, and then eventually, you're like later on, you're like, "Oh, that was Beyonce. That's why I liked it so much." Huh. Like, you can really recognize like a real strong performer or, something like that. And when you see it live, you're like, you get it. So I think that
Oh,
like
totally.
the power of
Totally.
live is just is crazy.
Yeah, there have been records and bands I've listened to, and I'm like, oh, I just don't get it, And then you go and see them live begrudgingly, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, this band is awesome. It just totally makes so much more sense.
Yeah, exactly. I think one example for me was Counting Crows and live. I saw them. Like I did another thing, exact same situation. Didn't want to go. We were just like randomly got tickets for free, and we went. And I was like, okay, lightning crashes. I get it. Long December. Even the slow ones are good. I like it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
then so after that, I'm just like, yeah, respect. Have I guess you get like some sort of like respect for them for being performers and being able to pull that off. And then you end up like you're like, oh yeah, live because I saw them live. I'll pick them up a little bit more, or like tend to listen a bit more, or maybe check them out a little bit more. So things like that. You might not have noticed them as much earlier, but if you see them live, you'll always like remember them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I just today bought tickets to go and see My Chemical Romance. They come into
Oof,
Cardiff
that's exciting.
next May. Big outdoor gig. Yeah. So looking forward to that one, man, because they're fucking awesome.
Because they were like they're broken up or whatever for a while, right? Like they were on hiatus or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think they did break up. I think they called it a day, and then they got back together for a big reunion thing, 2020. Obviously, they had to cancel the whole thing. So I think this might be the rescheduled dates. I'm not sure.
Yes, right, yeah. Because yeah, that I mean that's a big show. That guy's pretty big. That Gerard guy.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that was a band that was exactly like we were just saying because my partner was a big fan, and I didn't get it because I was a hard rock guy and I'd get the emo thing. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
And took her to see them in Cardiff when they played the arena last time, and that I was converted, straight away. I was like,
yeah,
oh, this makes sense. And then when we were on tour with my band, the last band I was in, KYSHERA. We did a UK tour, and we just listened to the Black Parade pretty much for the entire tour. And I just, yeah, like got total new level of appreciation for the songwriting and the musicianship and everything. So, yeah, I mean, live can, totally convert you to a band, when you really didn't get it before.
yeah. It's kind of crazy how that it just like opens your eyes like that, and doesn't matter who it is and what genre I found. It just happens. It's like, oh, yep, the power of performance.
Yeah, yeah, it's real. It's a vibe in a room with other people. It's raw. It's primal.
Yeah.
It's the way it should be, really. Yeah.
Definitely vibrations, very important. So what was your biggest show? What's your biggest gig that you've done then?
That I've done. That's a difficult one. I've done thousands of them, surely by now. The biggest one, I don't know.
Nothing pops to mind like, whoa, performed for the Queens,
Well, I've
Corgi one time.
done some interesting things like that, but it wasn't with the band. Like I songwrite as well, and I had some performances done. Like one of the biggest sort of most interesting things I did was like co-wrote a song that was performed by like 1,000-piece choir in like the Royal Albert Hall, or I think there was a big arena in Wales that played it as well.
Awesome.
That was pretty cool. But the way my brain works is I'm very I immediately move on from stuff. So I don't tend
Sure.
to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
These things don't stick, they happen, and I'm like, oh, that was cool, and then I'm immediately moved on to the next thing. So, but that was
You need a
one
scrapbook.
moment. I think that there was more people in the choir than there was in the audience. I think, and they were all singing this song. We filled the theater, and they were singing the song that I wrote, and I was sat up in the gods. And I remember a moment thinking, "Fucking hell, this is pretty awesome." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely get emotional feeling something like that. Like that
Yeah,
many
man.
people in a situation like that, sometimes those places, those like epic legendary places that have had so much
Yeah,
history, you're there. Like how many people have been here experiencing like emotions like this, or like hearing beautiful songs, or experiencing something like this, or like really, brings you into the moment, something that you'd
yeah,
never forget,
totally.
something like
So,
that.
and then like it'll happen and it'll be intense, and then like I'm such a dumbass, and as soon as I walk out the door, it's like it's forgotten again.
Yeah, just like, all right, heading to the pub now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Done that. Cool. But like with the band, like probably the biggest gigs we did were probably. I'll probably kick myself once we once we finished. Talking. So like, oh, I should have
Like,
mentioned
oh,
the
I
obvious.
forgot we performed on the moon.
Not Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
But probably let's think. Yeah, we played a beach in Italy. That was pretty big. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, nice. Nice touristy kind of vibes.
It was a place called Livorno, so it wasn't too touristy. It's not one of the places that people normally go to.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it was very like Italian, and it was fucking awesome. Yeah, it was like middle of the summer. We'd just been touring Europe with a band from California called Snot, who were doing their 20th anniversary uh, album reissue or something
Nice.
tour. And yeah, this was a little stop just before we went back into Switzerland. And yeah, it was fucking brilliant, man. Middle of summer, right on the beach. So you're playing, you can see the sea right there
Oh,
next to you. A big outdoor stage.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
great vibe.
stuff. Wearing a white linen suit.
Nah, man, I went fucking topless for that bad boy.
Hell yeah. I want to get a white linen suit, though, and go to Italy and, stand on the beach, do that thing.
Yeah, and you got to get like a white Panama hat.
I have to get the Panama hat. I would like to look like Pierce Brosnan in that Thomas Crown affair.
Yeah, with the couple of buttons on the shirt undone at the top,
Yes,
Panama
correct.
hat.
And Rene
Yeah.
Russo on my arm for some reason too.
Oh, of course, got to be done.
All right, so that sounds like pretty good, pretty rock star life. So is this is all your rock star antics covered in your book, or how'd you end up writing a book, and what's your book about?
Well, the book, yeah, basically is about my life as a musician up until this point. So it's the first 40 years of my life because I am that old. And but it was I didn't really intend on writing a book. I mean, my band KYSHERA broke up in 2018 officially, and it was December just before Christmas, and I started writing the book January 2019. So literally like 3 weeks later, and the whole book was written in like 2 months.
Oh
So
wow.
I think when the band broke up, I was kind of in that existential, I was approaching 40. I was having that existential crisis point. And, the band that I've been in for like 10 years had now finished. And it was like, well, so does everything I've done up until now, not mean anything now? Or is that
Oh
like,
yeah, man, that's a good one. Right at 40, that perfect. We don't call it midlife crisis anymore because we live much longer now. But that existential crisis, oof, yeah, right at that perfect. It always happens at that perfect moment, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been sort of like going through a bit of that for a few years, approaching 40 and stuff. But then, I always had the outlet of the band and things like that. And that kind of gave me my identity and my sense of purpose and stuff. So when that was gone, I was like, oh shit. So what am I now?
Yeah.
What do I do? What's my identity? Well, and is everything I've done like redundant now? It doesn't mean anything or anything. So I think the book kind of came out of that process. Really, I wasn't really. I never intended to write the book. I have no recollection of going in and sitting down and starting it. But I think it was probably just my way of going back over everything I'd done, and thinking about the good times and the lessons learned and the bad times and stuff like that. And before I knew it, I kind of had a book. And I thought, well, yeah, this, I was just going to put it out on the internet, like as a free kind of PDF or something, just for a few of the fans who might be interested. But like a month later, I got a publishing deal, and yeah, here we are. Like it went to #1 on Amazon. It was the second best-selling rock biography after Roger Daltrey from The Who, which was pretty awesome.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's like, the local bookstores have got it on the shelves and stuff, and it's a pretty fucking, complete shock success, really.
That's
Because
awesome. Yeah, and you weren't even a
yeah.
deaf, dumb, and blind kid.
Say that again?
You weren't even a deaf, dumb, and blind kid. Roger Daltrey, Raph. All right. Where's my Uncle
Deaf,
Ernie stands?
I'm clearly deaf.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, so you just started writing it down to, have the cathartic recap and, let it all out, ready for a fresh start. Maybe by putting down all that stuff, it'll help you visualize what you wanted to do moving forward. That's such a good thing to do anyway, because I'm sort of in that space. I'm right in that time frame. I'm been in the existential crisis mode for like a year or 2 years now, a year and a half, 2 years. So right in that same zone, still figuring it out, getting there, but haven't made the major break. I haven't had any major thing happen to put me into the have to write a book or have to pivot super hard. But I know that it's coming, or it's like or I'll make it happen in the next like year or two. I don't know. Something is gonna happen, but I'm just sort of in that foggy stage, like you probably
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about from being in there, but
Oh, totally. Well, I've had a few, man. I mean, the biggest one I had was when I was still in the band, which is something I talk about in the book, because my band was never successful. The twist in the book basically is that it's a rock memoir, but from the perspective of 99% of all the other bands who don't make it.
right.
So it's reality of what we go through.
Yeah.
Sleeping in a transit van, showering in car parks with bottled water, and getting screwed over by everybody and not making any money and playing to
Yes.
12 people. So it was
All
that
the stuff
story.
that really famous bands have to deal with just for a little bit.
Yeah,
You have to
yeah.
deal
So,
with for a way longer and way
yeah,
more, it happens a lot more.
yeah. Some of us, like myself, just couldn't let go of that drug, for like 10 years. And I think towards the end of it, the truth was kind of, becoming, difficult for me to bullshit my way out of. It was like, okay, dude, you're getting older now. This is clearly not working out, and
Yeah.
what are you going to do? So I kind of had my biggest sort of breakdown whilst I was still in the band. It actually happened when I was on that tour that I was just talking about, when we were in Italy and everything like that. And I ended up like basically trashing the inside of our transit van in France out of frustration, just drunk one night. And when I got back from the tour, I was like, okay, like, yeah, I've got to do a bit of work on myself because I'm like really depressed. I'm
Yeah.
broke, my missus has left me. I'm living with my parents and I'm 35, so I got to sort my life out. So I had a real hit the rock bottom kind of moment at that point. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, changes were made, realizations were made, and my life just got so much better, from that point. So I think like sometimes, your lowest moments, if that's what you may have coming, if you're in that existential period at the moment, then, oftentimes it can be the start of something way better.
Yeah, hopefully. That's the dream, right? So, yeah. We'll come out better than ever on the way to fresh new start in this new era of life.
Totally.
Post-pandemic. You heard it here first. The pandemic is ending. It's not going to be indefinite. Right? People in the future? Right? If you're listening in the far future? Thank you. Oh, that's pretty cool. So do you want to give a tease? What's the most salacious story that we could tease in for the book to get some downloads for this book? We should mention what the name is, and I will drop the link in the show notes for listeners.
It's Noise Damage, My Life as a Rock and Roll Underdog by James Kennedy. You can get it on Amazon and whatever bookstores. It's distributed in Canada and the States as well. So whatever the sort of big stores are over there should stock it as well. Salacious. I mean, there's a lot of salacity, if that's even a word,
Yeah.
in the book. I mean, we didn't do any private planes and smashing up hotels and sleeping with strippers and, doing cocaine and all that sort of stuff because we couldn't afford to. We would have if we could. But
Yeah, it gets
so
expensive.
our kind of like rock and roll stories are more like, revolving around transit vans and cheap hostels and house parties and things like that. But yeah, there's still a fair share of drinking, drugs, and mayhem in there because it's amazing what three broke guys can get up to, what kind of carnage they can cause when they're just traveling around the country or Europe in a crappy rusted transit van, living on petrol station sandwiches and not much sanity left or faculties remaining, having showered in 3 weeks. It's amazing the carnage those guys can cause.
Yeah, I mean, they got nothing else to lose. They're basically, you're going from party to party every night. Like, people are coming to you to party every single night, and then you just go to the next party. It can lend itself to certain lifestyle.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and oftentimes like wild stuff just happens just because you're so fucking frazzled. You know what I mean? You're just constantly on the move all the time. Nothing you do matters because you won't even be in that town or even that country
Oh,
tomorrow.
yeah, you're never going to see these people again.
No, speeding fines, whatever, it doesn't matter. We just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So
Take out a
yeah,
library book, not bring it back. Ah!
yeah. What are you gonna do?
What are you going to do? Keeping this Steinbeck.
So yeah, there's quite a lot. We still managed to make quite a lot of quite a lot of chaos in our travels. But I tried to be as open and as realistic in the book for people who don't know. The reality of what musicians go through as well. There's quite a lot of dark stuff in there as well to do with my depressive moments and alcohol dependency and just being broke, piss poor broke and getting ripped off by everybody and having to sue record labels and relationships breaking down, can't hold a job down, all for this addiction basically, which is what it was of rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to be open and honest and put myself out there for all of my shortcomings and failings and stuff as well. But it's also funny. It's a rip roaring read. But yeah, I tried to sort of think, what lessons have I learned here that I can share with people as well? So there's some philosophical moments in there as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's what people want. They want the whole truth, the whole thing, and then hopefully they grow along the way. You can see how you started, what happened, and where you are now.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I'm looking at the cover right now. It's nice. It's great. It's got you on stage striking a rock and roll pose with that classic written over it look. Looks like the cover of a TikTok or something.
Yeah, it's like a kind of punk rock kind of thing. I'm actually writing the second book right now, which will be coming out next year. So
it covers years 40 to 41.
Yeah, the pandemic years.
A lot about that vacation. A lot of chapters about the vacation.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like not a lot has happened. I mean, I put my entire life into the last book, and because it did so well, the publisher was like, "Hey, that worked."
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're looking for their extra cut on you. Looking to squeeze this James Kennedy lemon a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, like my entire life is in the book.
Yeah, like I need to live a little bit more. Maybe you want to front me some more vacation money.
Yeah, or just send me on a tour with a.
Yeah, you got to go on a tour, do some debauchery.
Just give me 10 grand to just go and blow on drugs and.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'll take 10 grand, but I'll live like I used to live on $10 a day.
Yeah.
And it'll go so much further.
We'll just raise mayhem around the place.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Hell yeah.
So what are you doing these days? So you're working on that, noodling around. You after your band, you did your own band? Tell us about that. Or you did your own solo stuff?
Yeah, I've always done solo records as well. So for every KYSHERA did 3 albums, and for every KYSHERA album, there was always a solo album kind of squeezed in between them as well. So after the band kind of disbanded, I had a solo album that was kind of out at that point, which did quite well as well. But it was always, it wasn't really like the main project. It was still very much, a side project solo thing. The band was always the main thing. But then when the band officially ended, I set up a new band, James Kennedy and the Underdogs, which is my current band, and released a proper album that wasn't just like a side project solo thing. It was a bona fide actual solo release, which came out around the same time as the book last year. It's called Make Anger Great Again. And it's like a hard rock record, politically themed. And yeah, like it's had a bit of a troubled road because it came out during the pandemic, so we couldn't tour it or anything. And because it was so political, YouTube took the video down for the lead single like the day after it went live, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook wouldn't let me do any advertising for the record or any boosted posts or anything like that because they said it was politically
politicized. Uh-oh. Yeah, Facebook's bad, and YouTube, I guess, is also bad. These big tech companies are bad, and hopefully we're moving to a place of decentralization, and hopefully Web3 will democratize some of these things. We'll get some decentralized YouTubes and decentralized Twitters and stuff like that, where you can't get censored, and people can kind of do what they want, and outside of the control of these places.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. I mean, I think a lot of it is algorithmic because, the title is, Make Anger Great Again, which is only like 3 words.
Yeah, it's only one word removed from what the algorithm's trying to look out for, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So at the time, I thought that was a clever title because obviously my political leanings are, the polar opposite of Donald Trump. I was talking about, using anger as a force for, for good. Let's take to the streets. Let's take power back. Let's rise up, and and all that sort of stuff. I'm a sort of like textbook lefty, really. So that's the political angle it was coming from. But yeah, I mean, these things get flagged up because of keywords and stuff like that. Suddenly my tweets weren't getting seen by anybody, and I couldn't promote anything on any of the sites. So it kind of killed the promo for the record, really. So what I did, every time Donald Trump tweeted, I would reply to him in a comment and I would say, "Make anger great again," hashtag, with a link to the video.
Okay.
So that in all of his millions of followers, because it was right around election time as well. It was like a month before the election. So he was tweeting every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so I put a lot of comments in there. And then the video was, it generated like 16,000 plays or something, like just literally off my replies to Donald Trump. And mostly from Trump fans who will go in there thinking that this is some kind of like,
well, it's hard to tell. Yeah, hard to tell within that title. And I think that's probably why Facebook algorithm got confused as well.
Yeah, because if you just glance at it, you wouldn't.
You can't tell if you're for or against with that. It's like it's tricky. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how like the algorithm can just it's doing a job, but the nuance of like communication on the internet is a bit ahead of algorithms at the moment.
There's no space for like irony or wordplay or anything like that. You know what I mean? Which is quite.
Maybe we don't have a sarcasm font yet.
Not yet, man. Or sarcasm. We certainly need a sarcasm emoji because I'm a super sarcastic bastard. I'm always saying stuff on Twitter that's meant sarcastic, and in my mind, I think it's quite clearly sarcastic.
But then looking at it completely removed from all context in 15 years.
Yeah. So if we just had a sarcasm emoji, you could say your thing and then just put the little emoji there so people know, hey, this is supposed to be.
This was actually he actually used this, which at the time they used to denote sarcasm. It was a tool at the time. They used emojis. You'll see they use LOL often. They wouldn't actually be laughing out loud, but the idea of laughing out loud is portrayed through the use of these short acronyms. Thank you, future sociologist.
You need these things, man, because people on the internet, Jesus Christ.
People on the internet, we're talking to you, listeners.
Yeah, man. Like literally, I think I actually did it one day because I normally like rant about stuff. And I just woke up one day, I was in a good mood. I was like, hey, I'm not going to say anything negative today, man. So I think I sent a tweet saying, hey, I hope everyone has a great day today. The sun is shining, all's good. Look after yourselves. And then someone replied saying, yeah, but it's not a good day for the children in Rwanda, is it, you heartless bastard? I was like, oh, fucking hell. You can't even say you have a nice day anymore,
You can't win with reply guys.
No.
Those reply guys. Shout out to all the reply guys listening.
And if I did say something about, the children in Rwanda, you just get someone going, "Oh, right, so you don't care then about the children in Ukraine?" Be like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't name everybody."
Uh, you can't win with these reply guys. These frickin'
What's up
reply
with these
guys.
reply guys, man?
Yeah, so the reply guys are out in force. So you're okay. You're out there in Wales, which is in the
Yeah,
UK. Cardiff is where you're from.
yeah.
All right. Tell us about Wales. What's going on there? Actually, my brother-in-law wanted me to ask you about the World Darts Championship. Is that anything you know about? It's happening. There's apparently two Welshmen who are the tops in the world.
Oh shit. Well,
No, you don't know? Oh, I'm gonna tell him because he's like he's from Wales. He's got to know. I'm like I don't think anybody cares about darts except for you, but
I know nothing about any sports at all.
is it a sport? I guess it is. But
In every pub, which is crazy. Every pub's got a dartboard. You got these drunk guys throwing darts around the place in a crowded room. But that's how they do it, I suppose, down here. But yeah, darts is popular down here in the pubs and stuff. But
yeah, it's true.
rugby is big. Rugby's the big Welsh sport. We're good at rugby as well.
Oh,
But
right, yes, it's good. So you're like a small country, but you laser focused in on rugby. But like we're gonna put all our focus into rugby, probably a little bit into football, aka soccer.
yeah,
And then we'll be good at rugby, and then a little bit good at soccer, and I'll be perfect.
we just put the rest of our focus onto drinking.
Yeah. So you, like the rest of the UK, same culture, pub based, generally, like drinking when you're 16 or whatever, totally
Yeah.
normal. Uh,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
beers with the
We're
lads.
like we're Celts, so it's the Irish, the Scots, and the Welsh. Everyone else is English, so England
Right.
is a separate thing. That's the Anglo-Saxons. The Welsh, the Irish, and Scots. We're Celts, so very similar vibe. It's very mountainous and green, very rural.
Right.
All the power bases in London and England, and they don't tend to really care about England, Ireland, or Scotland. They kind of let us do our own thing.
Right.
So yeah, it's that kind of vibe. Basically, everything you think about Ireland or Scotland when you think of that's Wales as well. Yeah, mountains, fields,
Yeah, I
sheep,
do think of that. Foggy,
cold,
mountainous,
wet.
hilly,
Yep.
farmland,
Yeah,
dragons.
we got a dragon on our flag, man.
That's really what I was thinking of. I lived in London for a few months, in 2006, and it was great. I didn't get out to Wales or Scotland or Ireland, unfortunately, because my something happened and I had to cancel my Scotland trip, unfortunately. But I did want to visit those lands, and I hope to visit them someday. So. Still on the agenda, but was able to excuse me, get around the UK and kind of get a vibe for how how it feels, how they live like day to day. And I'm sort of assuming it's kind of similar in those other UK areas, but I have no
Yeah,
way of knowing for sure because I didn't get there myself.
yeah. It's pretty similar. I mean, it's probably the same as where you are. I mean, like city life is the same. Every city's got its vibe, but that's city life, and But
Yeah,
then as soon as you go outside of the city,
that's true.
it's rural. You know what I mean? So it's people doing what they do. They stay in their local community where you've got your pub and your church and your
Strip malls, yeah, little strip
uh,
malls.
whatever you do. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of the same. I mean, like if you just step outside of London a little bit, you'd find places that aren't too dissimilar to the sort of small town that we have over here in Wales. Small communities with a few things and people doing crazy things to entertain themselves. I mean, they got a thing over in Devon in England called cheese rolling. I don't know if you've ever seen this.
Oh
If you
yeah, yeah.
have, you've got to check it out on YouTube if you haven't seen it. They get a big fucking thing of cheese and they just throw it down a hill and people run after it as fast as they can. And you get people breaking their necks and falling over and breaking their legs and smashing their face up and to chase after a lump of fucking cheese. And that's the kind of stupid shit that happens in these outback places.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, in Gloucestershire, it says one of the world's weirdest events. It was officially banned in 2010 due to safety concerns, but volunteers have been keeping the tradition going.
Cheese rolling. You got to see the videos. If any of your listeners haven't seen it, go on YouTube and type in cheese rolling. It is the stupidest shit you'll ever see in your life.
I'll put the biggest tumbles from the 2019 Gloucester cheese rolling in the show notes, so you can just check them out there.
Addictive viewing.
Addictive viewing. All right. So I think I've covered most of this stuff. So what are you up to these days? What are you doing online? What are some of your go-tos? Are you on TikTok? Are you on any other social media? And what are you doing on there?
I'm on everything. I am on TikTok, but I haven't got a clue what it is or what to do. So I barely posted anything on there. But I'm on everything as James Kennedy UK. So that's Instagram, Facebook.
Ooh, great branding.
Yeah, man, keep it nice and simple, and the same on TikTok as well and Snapchat. But Twitter's my main thing. Instagram, I was heavy on Instagram for a bit, but I'm too lazy for Instagram. Like Twitter, I like. That's where my biggest followership is. I think that's where we connected as well.
Correct.
And I'm not that active on anything anymore, to be honest.
I think that's good.
I can be quite lazy, I could be quite selfish in that regard. Like I don't feel the need to share everything that I'm doing. I go through phases where I'm very active on there and stuff like that. And then I get bored and I move on to something else. So it's mostly just, at the moment, just sharing things I'm reading or things I've watched or, the occasional rant about something. But I'm going to start ramping things back up again in January. I'm going to start podcasting my own. Because my manager has been do it.
I think that's why I connected. You posted about maybe doing a podcast, and I'm like, listen, I have a podcast. Let's do it.
That's right. Yeah.
It was sort of a spur of the moment. Like normally I pick people that I kind of know, but we don't really know each other at all. We never interacted, but we just sort of follow each other. I'm like, this guy's cool. He's in a band. He's verified. He's from Wales for sure. He's cool. I'm gonna follow him back. Usually it's someone that I know, but I really like it when there's someone that I don't know and I can just completely wing it and meet somebody new and find out about somebody who I really have no idea at all about. And that's what's so great about this episode.
Well, that's kind of like the appeal, I think, to doing it, because people have been saying to me for ages I should do a podcast because I am, quite opinionated and stuff like that. I do a lot of interviews and I do a lot of other people's podcasts and things. So they said, it would be interesting because you can talk about, politics, music, rock and roll stories, whatever you want,
Yeah, man.
And I was like, yeah, but what's the point? But I think part of the appeal of it is exactly like you said. I could get people on there that I don't know or that I haven't met and then have a chat, much like we're doing now, So I'm going to start that in January and we'll see how that goes. I'll probably do about 3 episodes and stop.
Yeah, most podcasts do not make it to 3 episodes. Okay. 90+% of podcasts or something, some stat, do not make it past 2 episodes.
Okay, right. I might maybe I'll record a batch of them or something.
That is correct. That is the best way to do it. That's what I did. I had a month or 2 months of runway, I called it, before having to post more episodes, right? So you give yourself that time, batch a bunch, then you have a month or so to record more and edit and post. You're probably not gonna have to edit and do all that stuff. You outsource that, but if you're doing it all yourself, it takes. It's 2 or 3 hours of work for every 1 hour of podcast, right? So that when you add it all up, it becomes a lot. So on my original version of this podcast, it was so much more work where I would I'd have these questions. I'd be getting questions from Twitter. I would research tweets that you've done, my favorite tweets of yours, and people send in their favorite tweets of yours. A whole big thing, and it was so much work. And then I did that for a while, 50, 60 episodes, and then stopped, went on hiatus, and then this is the new version that's more stripped down. It's more chill. You just call in and we just talk about some bullet points that I have. Not too stressful, no work involved, and I do not do as good of a job editing. so that's the new. So it's less work for me, but I'm able to not give up on it because I'm excited to talk to people and I want to do this part about it. I don't want to do the editing and promotion or whatever. I barely promote it. I post the link. That's what I'll do, and then maybe I'll retweet that later on. But I do not do much outside of that. And people who want to listen can listen, and it's always there, in the future if anyone wants to listen and finds out or whatever, however they find out. But yeah, just happy to be doing this part where I can connect with people.
Yeah, I think that's the approach I'm going to take. I might have to be if I do start it, maybe I'll have to get some advice off you or something. But I think that's the approach I'm going to take. I don't want to give myself any extra work, and that's why I always didn't want to do it in the first place.
Yeah,
my manager was like, "Look, come on, we're going to get locked down again.
content. We're gonna get some eyeballs. You got to follow, and we got to leverage these people.
Yeah,
We're gonna plug in AdSense." A lot of these places where you just put your RSS feed into different places, right? So my podcast is here, it's on Apple Podcasts, on whatever, but then it's on also other places where you can insert ads if you would want. Like they'll automatically insert the ad, give you a cut of it, but guess who's really making the cut, right? So
okay.
Those are the different ways of doing it. I don't have any ads on anything or anywhere, but that's just one of the options in this crazy cutthroat world.
Yeah.
I think I
really got some learning to do because I know nothing about it. I said, I'll start in January, but I haven't.
Oh yeah, no. Start. I started talking about doing a podcast like 2 years before I recorded my first episode, and that was like in 2014 or 2015 or whatever. So I started talking about it in 2013, like, I want to do a podcast, and then not until 2015 was I posting podcasts.
Right.
So pretty nuts. I mean, it's just me because I move slow, but it's just sort of like how it can go. If you don't just hit the ground running, just like start posting. I think I was worried about it being too good or whatever, and getting in like my format down and scheduling my friends and stuff. But sometimes you just gotta record something and post it.
I think that's what I'm gonna do because I like the Bill Burr podcast, the Monday morning podcast.
Right. Yeah.
There's no visual. It's just him talking about what he's been doing that week. I don't think there's any editing or anything. It's just very low production value. And I think if I do something like that, then I'll probably stick at it rather than if I got to do something where I'm doing it over Zoom and editing graphics. Oh, fuck that.
No.
It's not gonna last.
No, I don't think so. Well, best of luck. Very excited. We'll definitely retweet that on the Friends of the Show podcast feed when we see it come out.
Thank you, man. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the one of the things. I've got a column with Metal Talk magazine, a monthly column with them, starting in January as well, where I get to talk about anything I want. Which is
sweet.
cool.
And you'll be able to put that. You'll be able to put the podcast in your little bio blurb.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got the second book, which will be coming out next year, and hopefully, some tours with the band and stuff as well. So lots of stuff coming out. I mean, live touring and stuff like that is obviously subject to the Omicron situation.
Yeah, the whims of the whims of the novel coronavirus.
Oh yes, exactly. Well, God knows what the next one's going to be like, but the Claudius Maximus virus or something like that.
Get vaccinated, folks. All right, so, James. So that's it. So thanks so much for being on the podcast. We're starting winding it down, and I just have to open my. Wait, did I take iTunes off of my desktop? No. I took it off of my bar. I'm just talking because I am stalling for time. Maybe, James, you want to start saying your goodbyes and start saying where people can find you at James Kennedy UK?
Yeah, well, so I'm on everything: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, and TikTok. It's everything is at James Kennedy UK. I often get confused with the douchebag from Vanderpump Rules, the reality TV show.
Okay.
He's another James Kennedy, and he's British as well. He's got blue eyes and blonde hair. I got brown eyes and black hair, right? So look at the profile pic before you send me any more of his hate mail, because I'm not him.
Always double check.
People forget. I often get confused for that guy. So I'm James Kennedy UK. That's me. Come and say hello, man. Yeah, I'm pretty easy to get hold of. My book, Noise Damage My Life as a Rock and Roll Underdog, is available in the stores, and my new album is called Make Anger Great Again.
Yeah, thank you, James, and definitely go check out all those things. I'll put the links in the show notes. And now I have found the thing I was trying to do, and I'll play the podcast theme as we say our goodbyes. So thanks so much, James. And everyone go check him out on Twitter at James Kennedy UK. And that's it. That's the end of the show. Thanks, James.
That's great to speak to you.
Great speaking to you. All right. Bye-bye. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode with James. Follow him on Twitter at James Kennedy UK and check out all the links in the show notes and search him on your book app and check out his latest release. If you're a new listener, that rocks. If you're an old listener, that rocks even more. And I hope there's something good coming for you as we approach 100 episodes. Oh, that's crazy. If you can, you'd like to check out all the old episodes at www.stephenwskinner.com or find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Podpark. The next 5-star review gets a hat. If you like podcast tweets, check out at FOTS Pod on Twitter. That's weird, though. I'm on Twitter also at SkinnerSteven, but maybe on other platforms too. Special thanks to Ruby Coast for the music. Special thanks to Kyle I. Davidson for the theme, and special thanks to you for listening. I'm Stephen W. Skinner. Have a great one.